Close your eyes for a second and imagine this. Two people wake up the same age. One smokes a pack of cigarettes every day. The other doesn't smoke at all, but sits for 10 hours a day. 10 years later, science shows the second person's body may be aging faster. Shocking, right? But today, you're about to discover why sitting too much might be silently damaging your body more than smoking, and what you can start doing today to reverse it. Let me tell you a story. A few years ago, researchers at the Mayo Clinic followed thousands of adults for over a decade. They expected smoking, poor diet, and lack of exercise to predict early death. But something else stood out, something most people didn't even consider dangerous. It wasn't junk food. It wasn't alcohol. It wasn't even lack of workouts. It was sitting. People who sat for more than 8 hours a day had dramatically higher risks of heart disease, diabetes, obesity, depression, memory loss, and even early death, even if they exercised regularly. Let that sink in. You could go to the gym for 1 hour and still undo much of that benefit if you sit for the next 10 hours straight. This isn't exaggeration. It's biology. Your body wasn't designed to sit. It was designed to move, walk, squat, climb, bend, stretch, carry, breathe deeply, and circulate blood constantly. For over 200,000 years, humans survived by moving most of the day. Sitting 4 hours in chairs is a very recent invention, and your cells still don't know how to handle it. And here's the scary part. When you sit too long, your body doesn't just become inactive. It actually begins to age faster at the cellular level. Let's break this down simply. Inside every cell in your body are tiny structures called mitochondria. Think of them as power plants. They produce energy for everything: your heartbeat, your brain, your muscles, your immune system, your skin repair, even your mood. When you move, your mitochondria multiply and become stronger. When you sit for long periods, they weaken, shrink, and malfunction. This reduces your body's ability to burn fat, regulate blood sugar, fight inflammation, and repair damage, all major drivers of aging. In fact, studies from the University of California found that people who sit the most have shorter telomeres, the protective caps on your DNA that determine how fast your cells age. Shorter telomeres are linked to cancer, heart disease, diabetes, and early death. Translation: sitting literally shortens your life at the genetic level. Now, let's compare this to smoking. Smoking damages your lungs, blood vessels, and heart. Everyone knows that, but here's what most people don't realize. Excessive sitting damages almost every system at once: circulation, metabolism, hormones, muscles, bones, brain, digestion, immune system, and even emotional health. And the damage happens quietly. You don't feel it after 1 hour. You don't notice it after 1 day, but month after month, year after year, your body begins to stiffen, weaken, slow down, and break down faster than nature intended. Let me paint the picture. When you sit, especially in a slouched position, your hip flexors shorten, your glutes switch off, your core muscles relax. Your spine compresses, blood flow slows down, oxygen delivery decreases, your lungs can't fully expand, your brain receives less stimulation, your metabolism drops dramatically. In fact, research shows that your calorie-burning enzymes fall by up to 90% within just 1 hour of sitting. Fat breakdown slows almost immediately. Blood sugar rises. Insulin sensitivity drops. That's why people who sit long hours have higher rates of type 2 diabetes, even if they are overweight. Your body becomes metabolically sluggish, like a machine left idle too long. Now imagine this happening every day for years. This is why doctors now call sitting the new smoking. But here's where it gets even more serious. Sitting doesn't just affect your body, it reshapes your brain. Neuroscience research shows that movement increases blood flow to the hippocampus, the part of the brain responsible for memory and learning. When you move less, that blood flow decreases. Brain cells receive less oxygen and nutrients. Cognitive decline accelerates. That's why sedentary lifestyles are linked to faster memory loss, increased dementia risk, anxiety, depression, and lower emotional resilience. In simple terms, a sitting body creates a slowing brain. And over time, this changes who you are, not just how you look, but how you think, feel, and live. Now, you might be thinking, but I exercise. And that's great, truly. But here's the shocking truth from modern research. 1 hour of exercise does not cancel out 10 hours of sitting. It's like brushing your teeth in the morning and then eating sugar all day. The damage still happens. Your body needs frequent movement throughout the day, not just one workout session. This is why marathon runners who sit at desks all day still show higher heart disease risk than active people who move frequently but never go to the gym. Movement frequency matters more than workout intensity. Your body responds more to how often you move, not how hard you move. And this leads us to the biggest danger of sitting. It slows circulation. When blood flow slows, oxygen delivery drops. Waste products build up. Inflammation increases. Blood vessels stiffen. The heart works harder. Clot risk rises. Blood pressure increases. In fact, prolonged sitting is strongly linked to deep vein thrombosis, dangerous blood clots that can travel to the lungs and cause sudden death. This isn't rare. It's why long flights are medically risky. Now imagine that same blood stagnation happening daily at your desk, couch, or phone screen year after year. Slow circulation accelerates aging. That's because aging is essentially the accumulation of cellular damage faster than repair. And circulation is what delivers repair materials, oxygen, nutrients, immune cells to every tissue. Less movement equals less repair equals faster aging. Now let's talk muscles. Your muscles aren't just for movement, they're metabolic organs. They regulate blood sugar, hormone balance, inflammation, posture, and even immune strength. When you sit too much, your largest muscles, glutes, legs, core, shut down. Within days, muscle protein synthesis drops. Strength declines. Joint stability weakens. Posture collapses. Pain develops. Balance worsens. Fall risk rises. In older adults, prolonged sitting is one of the strongest predictors of frailty, disability, and early death, even more than obesity. That's because muscle loss accelerates aging faster than fat gain, and sitting destroys muscle silently. Now, here's something fascinating. When researchers compare the biological aging of people with sedentary lifestyles versus smokers, they find overlapping damage pathways: inflammation, oxidative stress, insulin resistance, vascular stiffness, mitochondrial dysfunction, and immune suppression. But in many systems, especially metabolism and circulation, prolonged sitting shows equal or greater harm. Smoking harms specific organs. Sitting harms the whole body at once. And unlike smoking, sitting feels harmless, even relaxing, which makes it far more dangerous psychologically. You don't fear it. You don't avoid it. You don't feel immediate pain, so you don't stop. But your cells feel it. Let's talk about the spine. When you sit, especially while leaning forward toward screens, your head moves inches forward from your center of gravity. This increases neck load dramatically, sometimes up to 60 pounds of pressure on your cervical spine. Over time, this causes disc compression, nerve irritation, headaches, shoulder pain, upper back stiffness, and posture collapse. But deeper than that, poor posture reduces lung capacity by up to 30%. Less oxygen means less energy, weaker immunity, poorer focus, and faster aging. And posture affects hormones too. Studies show that slouched posture increases cortisol, the stress hormone, while reducing testosterone and dopamine, hormones linked to confidence, motivation, and vitality. So sitting doesn't just weaken your body, it quietly alters your chemistry. Now, let's talk about digestion. Your digestive system relies on movement. Walking stimulates intestinal contractions that push food through your gut. Sitting too long slows digestion, increases constipation, bloating, acid reflux, and gut inflammation. Poor gut health affects immunity, mental health, metabolism, and skin aging because over 70% of your immune cells live in your gut. So again, sitting damages another system. Now, let's talk about fat storage. When you sit, your body burns almost no fat. It's lipoprotein lipase. The enzyme that breaks down fat in the bloodstream drops sharply. Fat stays circulating longer, increasing plaque buildup in arteries and storage in fat cells. This is why prolonged sitting is strongly linked to belly fat, the most dangerous fat associated with heart disease, diabetes, and hormonal imbalance. But here's the deeper issue. Visceral fat produces inflammatory chemicals that accelerate aging across every organ system. So sitting increases fat, increases inflammation, gives inflammation, increases aging. It's a vicious cycle. And here's something even more alarming. Research shows that people who sit more than 6 to 8 hours daily have shorter lifespans, regardless of whether they exercise, smoke, or eat healthy. Some studies estimate that excessive sitting reduces life expectancy by 2 to 4 years, comparable to smoking. But in some age groups, the impact is even greater. One major analysis found that replacing just 30 minutes of sitting per day with light movement, walking, stretching, standing reduced mortality risk by up to 17%. That's more powerful than many medications. And that brings us to the most dangerous myth. If I'm not smoking, drinking heavily, or overeating, I'm healthy. But health isn't just about what you avoid, it's about how you move. Now, let me tell you something deeply important. Your body doesn't age because of time alone. It ages because of use patterns. Movement preserves youth. Stillness accelerates decay. This is why farmers, dancers, laborers, gardeners, walkers, and physically active elders often remain strong, sharp, flexible, and vibrant far longer than sedentary professionals, even when their diets aren't perfect. Their secret isn't supplements. It isn't genetics. It isn't workouts. It's movement woven into daily life, and modern life has quietly stolen that from us. We sit to work. We sit to commute. We sit to eat. We sit to relax. We sit to socialize. We sit to scroll. We sit to watch. We sit to rest. Some people now sit over 12 hours a day, more than half their waking life. That means half their life is spent in a posture that accelerates aging. Now imagine this. If smoking aged your skin, lungs, heart, brain, muscles, bones, metabolism, digestion, hormones, and immune system all at once, would you still do it? Of course not. But sitting does exactly that, slowly, silently, invisibly. And unlike smoking, society encourages it. Desks, cars, couches, phones, screens, meetings, flights. We've built an entire world that rewards stillness and punishes movement, then wonder why chronic disease is exploding. Now let's talk about the heart. When you sit, your heart rate drops. Blood flow slows. Arteries experience less shear stress, the natural friction that keeps blood vessels elastic and healthy. Without that stress, arteries stiffen faster. Blood pressure rises. Plaque builds more easily. The risk of heart attack and stroke climbs. One study showed that people who watched more than 4 hours of TV per day had an 80% higher risk of cardiovascular disease even if they exercised. Why? Because prolonged sitting disrupts vascular function at the cellular level. Movement keeps arteries young. Stillness makes them old. Now, let's talk about bones. Bones strengthen when they bear weight and experience impact. Sitting removes both. Over time, bone density declines, hip fracture risk rises, spine compression worsens, height loss accelerates, and fractures in older age dramatically increase mortality. Not because of the fracture itself, but because of immobility afterward. So again, sitting feeds aging, aging feeds fragility, fragility feeds mortality. Now, let's talk about hormones. Prolonged sitting reduces insulin sensitivity, testosterone levels, growth hormone release, and metabolic efficiency, all hormones associated with youthfulness, vitality, muscle mass, fat burning, mood stability, and tissue repair. At the same time, it increases cortisol, inflammation, leptin resistance, and stress signaling hormones linked to aging, fatigue, fat storage, depression, and immune suppression. This hormonal shift pushes your body toward decay instead of renewal. Now, let's talk about energy. You might think sitting conserves energy, but in reality, it makes you more tired. Movement increases oxygen delivery, mitochondrial output, neurotransmitter production, and nervous system activation. Stillness decreases all of these. That's why long sitting days feel draining, even when you've done nothing physically demanding. Your body isn't tired, it's understimulated, and chronic understimulation leads to chronic fatigue. Now, let's talk about pain. Most chronic pain today, neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, hip pain, knee pain, is not caused by injury. It's caused by prolonged poor posture, muscle imbalances, joint stiffness, and connective tissue dehydration, all consequences of sitting. Pain discourages movement. Less movement increases pain. Pain increases stress. Stress increases inflammation. Inflammation increases degeneration. Another vicious cycle. Now, let's talk about the immune system. Movement increases circulation of immune cells, enhances lymphatic drainage, improves gut microbiome diversity, and increases antioxidant defense. Sitting suppresses immune surveillance. This is why sedentary individuals have higher infection rates, slower recovery, worse vaccine responses, higher cancer risk, and more autoimmune dysfunction. Your immune system thrives on motion. Stillness weakens it. Now, let's talk about mental health. Movement increases serotonin, dopamine, norepinephrine, BDNF, and endorphins, chemicals associated with happiness, motivation, focus, learning, memory, and emotional resilience. Sitting decreases them. This is why sedentary lifestyles are strongly linked to depression, anxiety, low motivation, brain fog, irritability, sleep problems, and emotional exhaustion. And this isn't psychological, it's biological. Your brain evolved to move. Stillness starves it. Now, let me pause and ask you something important. When was the last time you moved every 30 minutes throughout the day? Not exercised, moved. Stood up, walked, stretched, changed posture, shifted weight, bent, reached, twisted, breath deeply, got blood flowing. Most people can't remember, and that's the problem. Because your body doesn't need more workouts, it needs more movement moments. Now, here's the most powerful part of this entire topic. The damage from sitting is reversible. Unlike smoking, which leaves permanent lung scarring, vascular damage, and cancer risk. The biological harm from sitting begins to improve almost immediately when movement returns. Within hours of breaking sitting, blood sugar control improves. Within days, insulin sensitivity rises. Within weeks, circulation strengthens. Within months, mitochondrial function improves. Within years, cellular aging slows. Your body wants to heal. It just needs movement signals. And those signals don't require gyms, equipment, or intense workouts. They require frequency. Now, let me tell you something deeply hopeful. You don't need to become an athlete. You don't need to train like a monk. You don't need to overhaul your life. You just need to stop being still for too long. That's it. Small movements done often beat intense workouts done rarely. Now, let us go deeper, because once you understand how sitting accelerates aging at the cellular level, you'll never see your chair the same way again. Inside your body, every second, millions of cells are dividing, repairing, cleaning waste, and generating energy. This process keeps you alive, youthful, strong, and mentally sharp. But this entire system depends on one thing more than most people realize: blood flow and movement signals. When you move, your muscles contract. That contraction squeezes blood vessels, pushes blood upward, stimulates oxygen delivery, clears metabolic waste, activates enzymes, triggers hormone release, and tells your genes, stay young, stay adaptable. Stay alive. When you sit, that signal disappears. Your muscles go silent. And silence at the cellular level means degeneration. Let's start with something shocking. Within just 60 minutes of uninterrupted sitting, your body shows measurable declines in insulin sensitivity, fat-burning enzymes, blood flow to the legs, mitochondrial activity, endothelial function, blood vessel health. This isn't over weeks. This isn't over years. This happens in 1 hour. Now imagine this repeated every day for years. That's how biological aging accelerates. Now let's talk about something called oxidative stress. Oxidative stress happens when your cells produce more harmful molecules called free radicals than your body can neutralize. These molecules damage DNA, proteins, cell membranes, mitochondria, and brain cells, accelerating aging and disease. Movement increases antioxidant defenses. Sitting suppresses them. Studies show that prolonged sedentary behavior increases oxidative stress markers, the same markers seen in smokers, obese individuals, and people with chronic disease. So, at the cellular level, sitting creates a chemical environment similar to smoking. But here's the difference. Smoking damages specific organs, first lungs, blood vessels, heart. Sitting damages every cell simultaneously because circulation slows everywhere. Now let's talk about inflammation, the silent fire of aging. Inflammation is your body's natural repair signal, but when it stays elevated long term, it destroys tissue instead of healing it. Chronic inflammation accelerates heart disease, cancer, diabetes, Alzheimer's, arthritis, and nearly every aging-related condition. Prolonged sitting increases inflammatory markers like CRP, IL-6, and TNF-alpha, even in people who exercise. That means you can be lean, young, and active and still have elevated inflammation simply because you sit too long. Inflammation shortens telomeres. Shorter telomeres accelerate cellular aging. Faster aging increases disease risk. This is why sitting literally ages your DNA. Now, let's talk about something even deeper: epigenetics. Epigenetics means how your lifestyle turns genes on or off. You don't just inherit genes, you inherit potential. And movement is one of the strongest signals that activates protective anti-aging genes. When you move regularly, your body turns on genes related to DNA repair, mitochondrial growth, fat metabolism, brain plasticity, stress resilience. Longevity pathways. When you sit too much, those genes quiet down. At the same time, genes related to inflammation, fat storage, insulin resistance, and tissue breakdown become more active. So sitting doesn't just weaken your body, it rewrites your biology toward decay. Now, let's compare this to smoking again. Smoking introduces toxins that damage DNA directly. Sitting doesn't introduce toxins, but it removes signals that protect DNA. Different mechanism, similar outcome. Now, let's talk about muscle-to-brain communication. Most people think muscles are just for movement, but muscles are endocrine organs. They release molecules called myokines when they contract. These travel to the brain, liver, heart, bones, immune system, and fat tissue, improving function everywhere. Some myokines improve memory and learning, reduce inflammation, improve insulin sensitivity, protect blood vessels, strengthen immunity, promote fat burning, increase stress resilience, slow neurodevelopment. When you sit, muscles don't contract. No contraction equals no myokines. No myokines equals faster aging. So sitting doesn't just reduce movement, it cuts off your body's internal anti-aging pharmacy. Now let's talk about brain aging. The brain thrives on movement. Physical motion increases blood flow, oxygen delivery, glucose uptake, growth factor release, and neural connectivity. When movement stops, those benefits disappear. Imaging studies show that sedentary individuals have reduced hippocampal volume, lower prefrontal cortex activity, slower processing speed, worse memory, higher dementia risk, greater depression and anxiety, and this isn't only in older adults. These changes appear even in young, sedentary populations. Sitting literally shrinks parts of your brain. And remember, your brain controls every repair process in your body. When brain function declines, so does resilience. Now, let's talk about mitochondria, the engines of life. Mitochondria convert oxygen and nutrients into energy. The more mitochondria you have, and the healthier they are, the more energy, strength, endurance, immunity, and youthfulness you experience. Movement stimulates mitochondrial biogenesis, the creation of new mitochondria. Sitting does the opposite. It suppresses it. Over time, sedentary cells become energy-starved, metabolically rigid, inflammatory, and inefficient, the cellular profile of aging. In fact, mitochondrial decline is one of the strongest predictors of biological aging and mortality, stronger than cholesterol, weight, or blood pressure, and prolonged sitting accelerates mitochondrial dysfunction. Now, let's talk about blood sugar control. After you eat, glucose enters your bloodstream. Your muscles are the largest glucose sink in your body. When muscles contract, they absorb glucose without needing insulin. When muscles don't contract because your sitting glucose stays elevated longer, insulin levels rise. Cells become resistant. Fat storage increases. Inflammation increases. Aging accelerates. This is why light walking after meals dramatically improves blood sugar control even more than intense workouts done earlier in the day. And this is why prolonged sitting increases diabetes risk, independent of body weight. So again, movement frequency beats movement intensity. Now let's talk about blood vessels. Your blood vessels are lined with endothelial cells, thin layers that regulate dilation, clotting, inflammation, oxygen delivery, and nutrient transport. These cells require constant shear stress from flowing blood to stay healthy. When you sit, blood flow slows, especially in the legs. Endothelial function declines within hours. Nitric oxide production drops. Vessels stiffen. Clot risk rises. Over time, this accelerates atherosclerosis, hypertension, stroke risk, heart attack risk, erectile dysfunction, kidney disease, cognitive decline, because every organ depends on blood vessels. Movement keeps vessels elastic. Stillness makes them old. Now, let's talk about posture and spinal aging. When you sit, especially while leaning forward, spinal discs experience uneven compression. Muscles on the front of your body shorten. Muscles on the back weaken. Connective tissue stiffens. Nerve pathways become irritated. Over time, this leads to chronic neck pain, lower back pain, disc degeneration, sciatica headaches, shoulder tension, reduced lung capacity, balance issues, fall risk, but deeper than pain. Spinal compression reduces cerebrospinal fluid flow, the fluid that cleans toxins from your brain and spinal cord. Poor CSF circulation is linked to cognitive decline, fatigue, and neurodegeneration. So posture isn't cosmetic, it's neurological. Now let's talk about fat tissue. Fat is not passive storage. It's an endocrine organ. It releases hormones and inflammatory chemicals that influence appetite, metabolism, immunity, mood, and aging. Prolonged sitting increases visceral fat, the deep fat around organs, even in people who are anti-overweight. Visceral fat releases cytokines that increase inflammation, disrupt insulin signaling. Damage blood vessels, impair immune function, accelerate telomere shortening, increase cancer risk. So sitting increases fat, gives fat increases inflammation, gives inflammation, accelerates aging. Another vicious cycle. Now, let's talk about lymphatic drainage. Your lymphatic system removes waste, toxins, damaged proteins, excess fluid, immune debris, and inflammatory molecules from tissues. But unlike blood vessels, it has no pump. It relies entirely on muscle contractions and movement. When you sit, lymph flow slows dramatically, waste accumulates, inflammation rises, immune efficiency drops. This contributes to swelling, fatigue, brain fog, joint stiffness, immune weakness, and slower recovery. Movement is lymphatic medicine. Stillness is lymphatic stagnation. Now let's talk about sleep and circadian rhythms. Movement, especially daylight movement, anchors your internal clock. It improves melatonin release at night, cortisol rhythms in the morning, temperature regulation, digestion timing, hormone balance, and sleep depth. Sedentary behavior disrupts circadian rhythms, increases insomnia risk, worsens sleep quality, increases fatigue, and accelerates aging. Poor sleep alone accelerates biological aging at the cellular level, shortening telomeres, increasing inflammation, and reducing DNA repair. So, sitting affects sleep. Sleep affects aging. Aging affects everything. Now, let's talk about psychological aging. Movement improves mood, motivation, confidence, resilience, stress, tolerance, emotional regulation, and mental clarity. Sedentary lifestyles increase depression, anxiety, irritability, apathy, brain fog, low motivation, and emotional fragility. This isn't weakness, it's neurochemistry. Your brain evolved to move. Stillness starves dopamine, serotonin, norepinephrine, endorphins, and BDNF chemicals responsible for emotional stability and cognitive vitality. So, sitting doesn't just age your body, it ages your mind. Now, let's zoom out and compare smoking again. Smoking introduces toxins that damage tissue. Sitting removes signals that maintain tissue. Smoking increases oxidative stress. Sitting increases oxidative stress. Smoking increases inflammation. Sitting increases inflammation. Smoking damages blood vessels. Sitting damages blood vessels. Smoking shortens telomeres. Sitting shortens telomeres. Smoking increases cancer risk. Sitting increases cancer risk. Smoking increases heart disease risk. Sitting increases heart disease risk. Smoking increases dementia risk. Sitting increases dementia risk. Smoking accelerates biological aging. Sitting accelerates biological aging. Different mechanism, similar outcome. But here's what makes sitting more dangerous psychologically. Smoking feels harmful. Sitting feels harmless. Smoking is socially discouraged. Sitting is socially rewarded. Smoking is visible. Sitting is invisible. Smoking feels toxic. Sitting feels comfortable. So people quit smoking, but they sit more. Now let's talk about something deeply important. Your body doesn't measure health by how often you exercise. It measures health by how often you move. That's the missing truth of modern medicine. Now imagine two people. Person A exercises 60 minutes a day, but sits for 10 hours. Person B never goes to the gym but moves lightly throughout the day, walking, standing, stretching, carrying, squatting, shifting posture. Research shows person B often has better metabolic health, lower inflammation, better blood sugar control, healthier arteries, better posture, less pain, better mood, better sleep, and lower mortality risk. Why? Because movement frequency beats workout intensity. Now, let's talk about aging itself. Aging isn't just wrinkles or gray hair. Aging is slower tissue repair, reduced mitochondrial function, shortened telomeres, increased inflammation, reduced hormonal output, lower metabolic flexibility, declining brain plasticity, weakening immune defense, loss of muscle and bone, reduced circulation, reduced resilience. Every one of these worsens with sitting. Every one improves with movement. Now, here's the most hopeful part. Unlike smoking, sitting damage is rapidly reversible. When you stand up after sitting, blood flow increases immediately, glucose uptake improves immediately, endothelial function improves immediately, lymphatic drainage improves immediately, posture improves immediately, breathing improves immediately, brain oxygen improves immediately. Mood improves immediately, energy improves immediately, and over time, mitochondria regenerate. Muscle mass rebuilds, inflammation drops, hormones rebalance, telomeres stabilize, sleep improves, cognition sharpens, pain decreases, immunity strengthens, longevity pathways activate. Movement is the most powerful anti-aging medicine humans possess, and it's free. Now, the question becomes, how much movement do you actually need? Not 10,000 steps, not gym memberships, not intense workouts. You need movement interruptions. Breaking sitting every 20 to 30 minutes with 1 to 3 minutes of light movement dramatically improves health outcomes more than any supplement, medication, or biohack. Standing, walking, stretching, squatting, calf raises, arm swings, neck rolls, hip hinges, deep breathing. These tiny movements, repeated often, outperform long workouts in protecting your biology. Now, imagine this. If someone offered you a pill that reduced heart disease risk, reduced cancer risk, reduced diabetes risk, reduced dementia risk, reduced depression risk, reduced obesity risk, increased lifespan, increased energy, increased focus, improved sleep, improved mood, improved posture, improved metabolism, slowed aging, strengthened immunity, you'd take it instantly. That pill already exists. Now we've uncovered the science, how sitting silently ages your body faster than smoking, at the cellular, hormonal, neurological, and metabolic levels. But knowing the problem isn't enough. You need solutions, practical, realistic, science-backed strategies that actually fit into modern life. Let's start with the most powerful principle. Movement frequency beats workout intensity. You don't need to run marathons or lift heavy weights. What your body craves is movement every 20 to 30 minutes. Small bursts, repeated often, stimulate blood flow, activate muscles, improve circulation, kickstart mitochondrial function, release myokines, and signal your cells. Stay young, stay alive. Here's exactly how to implement this. First, set a timer literally on your phone, watch, or computer. Every 20 to 30 minutes, stand up, walk, stretch, roll your shoulders, wiggle your toes. Even just standing for 1 minute increases circulation, glucose uptake, and metabolic activity. Second, integrate micro movements into your day. While on calls, stand up and pace. While watching TV, do calf raises, squats, or stretches. While cooking, shift weight from leg to leg. Reach, bend, engage your core. At your desk, alternate sitting and standing if you have a sit-stand setup. Third, prioritize walking after meals. Just 5 to 10 minutes of light walking post-meal significantly improves insulin sensitivity and glucose control, often better than an intense workout done earlier in the day. Fourth, move creatively. Your body wasn't designed to sit still for 8 to 10 hours. Squat while picking up objects, lunge while reaching for shelves, twist your spine while cleaning. Every movement counts. Fifth, incorporate full body activation a few times a day. Push-ups or wall push-ups, body weight squats, hip bridges, arm circles, neck and spine mobility drills. You don't need a gym. You just need your body and 5 to 10 minutes at a time, repeated throughout the day. Now let's talk posture. Sitting isn't just about time, it's about position. Slouched, collapsed postures compress your spine, lungs, and organs. So, sit upright, shoulders relaxed but back. Keep feet flat on the floor. Avoid craning your neck forward, screens. Use small lumbar support if needed. Even slight corrections improve breathing, oxygen delivery, spinal health, and circulation. Next, let's talk environmental hacks that force movement naturally. Place your printer, water, or phone away from your desk. Walk to access them. Stand while waiting on calls or watching tutorials. Take stairs instead of elevators. Park further away when possible. Break long screen sessions into intervals with short walks or stretches. Small changes, repeated consistently, compound exponentially over weeks and months. Now, let's discuss habit stacking, pairing movement with existing habits. Brush teeth, gives do squats or calf raises. Drink water, gives do 30-second stretches. TV commercial gives stand, walk, or do mobility drills. Waiting for a page to load gives march in place. These small movement snacks are easy, sustainable, and incredibly powerful. Next, breathing. Sitting often reduces lung expansion, oxygen intake, and nervous system tone. Deep diaphragmatic breathing for 1 to 2 minutes every hour stimulates oxygen delivery, reduces stress, lowers cortisol, and improves focus. Combine breathing with standing or gentle stretching for maximal benefit. Now, let's talk strength preservation. Key to longevity. Sedentary lifestyles accelerate muscle loss. Even modest body weight exercises a few times a week maintain strength, posture, and metabolism. Focus on compound movements, squats, lunges, push-ups, hip bridges. These movements engage the largest muscles, which control glucose, fat metabolism, and hormone regulation. Next, light cardio, walking, climbing stairs, cycling, for 20 to 30 minutes a few times per week. This isn't about exhaustion, mitochondrial health, and oxygen delivery. Even moderate intensity improves vascular function and slows aging markers dramatically. Let's talk tracking. Awareness is key. Use a smartwatch, step tracker, or even a simple timer. Track sitting time steps, movement breaks, stretching, or posture drills. Awareness alone increases compliance and improves results. Now, let's cover mental strategies. Sitting encourages mindless scrolling, screen fixation, and passive behavior. Combat this by scheduling movement into your day like appointments. Making walking meetings or calls, setting environmental cues, placing shoes near the desk to remind you to walk. Pairing enjoyable activities with movement podcasts, audiobooks. Music movement becomes enjoyable, not a chore. Next, sleep and circadian alignment. Movement during daylight improves melatonin release at night, cortisol rhythm in the morning, and overall sleep quality. Better sleep accelerates repair, reduces inflammation, strengthens immunity, and slows aging. Now, let's combine it all into a simple daily blueprint. Stand or stretch every 20 to 30 minutes. Walk 5 to 10 minutes after meals. Do 5 to 10 minutes of mobility or strength exercises twice a day. Practice deep breathing for 1 to 2 minutes every hour. Prioritize posture while sitting. Incorporate micro movements during tasks and leisure. Track sitting and movement to stay aware. Walk or perform light cardio 20 to 30 minutes per day. Align movement with daylight for sleep benefits. Avoid prolonged, uninterrupted sitting longer than 1 hour. Do this consistently, and your body will respond. Circulation improves, glucose regulation improves, fat metabolism increases, inflammation drops, mitochondria regenerate, hormones rebalance, brain function sharpens, posture and spinal health improve, mood and energy increase, biological aging slows. Sitting quietly may feel harmless, even comforting, but every hour you spend immobile sends a silent message to your cells. It's time to slow down. Decay age. The truth is harsh. Prolonged sitting damages your heart, muscles, bones, brain, metabolism, hormones, and immune system, often faster than smoking. It shortens telomeres, fuels inflammation, weakens mitochondria, and accelerates cognitive decline. But here's the hopeful part. Your body is not doomed. It's designed to move, repair, and rejuvenate, and it responds immediately to your choices. Every time you stand, walk, stretch, or activate your muscles, you are literally telling your body, stay young, stay alive, stay strong. The power to reverse aging, protect your health, and reclaim vitality isn't in a pill, a gadget, or a complicated regimen. It's in consistent, small, intentional movements woven into your day. The science is clear. Movement is medicine, frequency beats intensity, and even a few minutes every hour compounds into years of life and youth. The decision is yours to remain trapped in the chair, silently accelerating aging, or to rise, move, and let your body thrive. Start now. Stand up, walk, stretch, breathe, shift, move. Every motion fights decay, restores strength, sharpens the mind, and slows the clock of aging. Your body has been waiting for this signal. Give it, and it will reward you with vitality, resilience, and life lived fully. Your time is now. Don't sit through it. Move through it.